Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. I hope very much that you are able to join me right now. I see that you are there, but perhaps if you have a possibility, please send a chat so that I'm able to see that you are there, because I've started the webinar already, but I heard from the technical people that it isn't working. So I hope we have some view right now. Okay, I'm just waiting for a message of the technical people and perhaps for you a chat message to see if you are joining me in this webinar. Geweldig, brilliant. It is working out. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm going to switch to the right screen, and we're going to work on work-life balance right now. I'm really looking forward. You are joining probably from your office or your home office, and I'm going to share some insights with you today, and I hope we will also do some exercises. I'm going to share my presentation with you, so you can follow every exercise and all the ideas I'm covering in this webinar. So if you hang on a minute, I think it's all right now. And we're starting with work-life balance. And I'm going to share today with you 5 secrets for creating more balance in your life. We're doing a webinar. So a webinar means you are joining from behind your computer screen. And there could possibly be a lot of different distractions, things that are going on right now that are on your mind. You could have email, you could have internet, social media. And it can be really helpful to put those aside and grab some blank pieces of paper or a notebook to write down your insights and to join in the exercises. So I'll give you a moment right now to take the time to grab some paper and a pen. Okay, so since you are probably fully prepared right now, what is on our agenda? We're going to talk about work-life balance. I want to tell you a little bit more about my view on this subject. And then I'm going to present to you 5 secrets with some insights and some practical tools. We'll do some exercises also, and afterwards there is room for Q&A. So you are able to ask your questions and I will answer them. But first off, we'll look at work-life balance. And if we look at work-life balance, it's a lot talking about work versus life. But for me, a work-life balance is not just so much about balancing work and kids, but it's about creating a life where you have room to pay attention to all the different aspects that are important to you in life. So that could be career, doing meaningful work, but also friends. It could be about making sure you have a good health as far as you can take care of it, and taking care of family and other loved ones. So there are a lot of different aspects in life, and it's work-life balance for me, or life balance, is much about what is really important to you, instead of running around stressed all the time or feeling like you're not making the most out of it. So in this respect, work-life balance is really about what is important to you, and it may vary according to your personal situation and the life stage you are in. It can be really challenging because there are many choices, a lot of commitments, a lot of different things to do, and this can lead to feeling overwhelmed, feeling guilty that you should be paying more attention to work when you're with your kids or when you're with your family, and the other way around goes the same way. It may also be for you that you feel like, I don't recognize juggling so many balls or having too much to dos, but I feel things are going quite well. But I'm interested in looking at ways to make it even better, to improve it even more. So that's also a possibility. What I'm going to do is share 5 secrets. Here you have a preview of these 5 secrets, and we'll go into them one by one. So we'll start up with the first one. And the first secret might sound really logical, but it's in practice quite more difficult. And that's knowing what is really important to you and focusing on what matters. Because if you know what really matters to you, it can really help you to make conscious choices on a daily basis. And this may seem like common knowledge, but unfortunately, it's not common practice. The big problem is that usually we lose out of sight what is really important. And perhaps you may recognize this situation where you or someone around you has experienced a serious illness, or perhaps a death in the family. And then when you talk to these people or you recognize it yourself, they say it has completely shifted their priorities. So it gave them a totally different perspective on life. So what we're going to do right now is a small exercise, and this exercise is called New Year's Eve. It's a small exercise that can help you gain more insight on what is important to you. We're going to do it right now for a short while, but if you want to afterwards, you'll also get a video of the webinar. You can access it more easily. So you can do the exercise again and repeat it for yourself. And right now, I think you're in a chair, and I'm asking you to lean back, sit back, and dream a little, because we don't take so much time to dream. Well, grab your paper also, and perhaps you might want to doodle or write down some keywords. And the exercise is focus on your next New Year's Eve. This may be in half a year, or you may say that's a little bit of short amount of time for me, so I'm going to focus on New Year's Eve in a year and a half. And this is going to be a brilliant, great New Year's Eve. There are a lot of things you are grateful for, things that have happened that you're really happy about. And just fantasize right now. Think about what has happened, what are you doing, who are you with, and just write some keywords down. I'm going to set my timer on a few minutes, and you can just experiment with this exercise. Okay, so right now you can stop doing the exercise, and I hope it has brought some nice ideas in your head. You can also always continue this exercise, but we're going to move on to the second part. And the second part is about putting it into action, because it's all making a big change is made up of little steps. And the problem that I see with a lot of people is that they do know but what is really important, but they don't manage to translate it into their daily lives. So we find ourselves stressing over email, canceling a meeting with a friend because we are too tired of, or don't have the energy, or don't have the time. And that's kind of funny, because when we're on our deathbed, nobody is saying, I should have spent more time on email. So right now, I would like to ask you to think about those things you've written down that are important to you, and think about one little thing, one small step that you can do to pay attention a little bit more to what is important to you. And here are some examples. I was working with a coachee, and he felt that he wanted to pay more attention to his family. So the next weekend, he planned a family outing. A great other way would be to send a postcard to a good friend. So remember, they don't have to be big actions. And what I heard from a scientist was that she started the next day reading a research article, because research was what was really important to her. She couldn't find the time, but this way she takes a small amount of time every day. And another person decided to take a walk. So take a minute right now and write down what your small 1% action is going to be. Okay, I hope you found something to put into practice. And if you didn't, maybe something will pop into your head afterwards. Or you can use the second secret. And the second secret is about creating mindful moments. And there's a huge difference between having a really full mind and paying attention to what is there already. And creating a life balance is not just about dividing your time better. Of course, there are tools to be more efficient and to separate things more easily, but creating a nice working work-life balance is a lot about focus and attention. And most of the time, our attention is really drifting. We are focused on past experiences, we worry about future events, and we rarely are totally present in the moment. And when we do have these mindful moments, we do experience something special. So perhaps you recognize this situation where you're fully engaged in writing an article, or a moment when you're working with a really motivated class, or actually experiencing some difficulties, but you are able to make the students enthusiastic, and you experience some sort of flow where you forget everything else that is going on and are totally focused on what you're doing. And these really present experiences are not just happening in the workplace, but can also be when you're running outside, doing sports, and feeling that you are that your mind is empty and you're fully focused on what you're doing right now. Or playing with the child could also be one of those experiences. Well, even though we are distracted a lot of the time, Thankfully, we can train ourselves to become more attentive to the present moment. And you can do this by doing mindfulness exercises. And right now, during this lunch break and doing this webinar, I will guide you through one right now. It's a really small exercise, and I assume you're sitting on a chair. So please make sure that you sit comfortably. Rest your back against the chair. Put your feet on the ground. And feel how your feet are standing on the ground. And secondly, feel how your behind is leaning on the chair, how you are supported by the chair right now. And feel your arms. And now I'm asking you to let go of your attention for the body and switch towards the breath. You don't have to change anything about your breath. Just notice how you're breathing in and how you're breathing out. Mindfulness is not about creating a situation where you have no thoughts or other feelings or no distractions. But when you get distracted, you just notice that you are distracted and you move your attention back to your breath at the moment. Okay, so when you're ready, you can round up this exercise and notice what the effect was for you. And I do this exercises a lot in training situations, and I notice that a lot of people say they feel more relaxed afterwards. So it brings some sense of relaxation. But there are also some people who say that they notice that they are tired, or they notice that there is some tension in their muscles. And while mindfulness can really help you to relax, the purpose is not necessarily to relax. So if you notice that you have tension, or that you're tired, or that there's a lot going on in your mind, it can help you to make wise decisions accordingly. So perhaps take a short power nap, or make a little bit of movements to relax your muscles. So mindfulness can give you a lot of wonderful insights in what is going on in you right now, and how to create more balance. So we did this really short and easy exercise. And what's in it for you? Any moment that you feel that you are out of balance, you can do some things in the outer world. So adjust some situation, cancel an appointment, do something differently. But you can also change your attention. And it can be as simple as sitting down for a few minutes, just being aware of your body, or taking a few conscious breaths. So this was the second secret about creating mindful moments. The third secret is about knowing your flex style. And this is from the book CEO of Me. And the researchers and authors of this book, Alan Kosek and Brenda Lauch, they did a lot of research on work and life in the flexible job age. because as you've noticed about your work probably, it's not just working moments where you're in a job from 9 to 5 and you don't think about work in your free time. It's much more flexible, and this brings a lot of opportunities, but it might also bring some difficulties. And what they say is that there are, of course, some mixtures, but 3 types of flex styles. And I'm going to present them to you in a nutshell. So first up, the integrators. And please do listen to this. I'm going to ask you the question later on, what type you recognize most. So you can think about it more later, but listen to it and think, what do I recognize in these different types? So we'll start with the integrators. The integrators are really good at blending work and personal life. They don't just do so in terms of time and schedules and locations, but they also do so psychologically. In terms of their day-to-day thoughts, emotions, and energies, it's all intertwined. So the sunny side is that they are really able to mix up a lot, but there's also a downside that they find it more difficult to draw lines between work and family. The separators, on the contrary, really like to separate personal life from work. So they focus on work when they are at work, and at home they really are at home. So these are the people who don't really like to take a work phone into their home, and they tend not to work in the weekends, but if they have to, they are good at creating a separate space for working at home. And carving out a separate block of time to do some work and then stop thinking about the work. So the upside is that they're really good at creating time and space for the different aspects of life, and the downside may be that they're a bit lacking flexibility. Well, the volleyers, they are a mix of the two. So a lot of people are volleyers, and they switch back and forth. At times, really making a tight separation between work activities and other activities, and sometimes integrating it as according to what the situation is asking from them. So right now, take a moment and think about what style you recognize most. And perhaps if you have the opportunity, you could send in the chat and say what style you recognize most, so we get some idea about the group. So what is the use of this? How does it help you to know what your flex style is? Well, the first part is that it can help you find your own strategy that will work for you. And secondly, it can also prevent miscommunications with other people, because if a separator and an integrator work together, they need to mix the different styles to make sure that it really works. And the second part of it is that you can start tweaking your environment. And you can find out when you are really profiting from the sunny side of your flex style. But secondly, you can also find out what the difficult situations are and find alternative deal with this. So perhaps as an integrator, you might make use of some of the separating strategies. And as a volleyer, you might know, oh, this time it really works for me to integrate everything, but in different situations, it might help to separate a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to move on to the fourth secret. And the fourth secret is about building a team. Great work doesn't happen just by yourself. And there are a lot of people you need. And I see that we've got a lot of integrators over here. So there's a lot of team to build. A great example I heard from a coachee, and she said that she did more, she acquired more hired help. So she had the nanny over for an extra day, and she even cooks the meal. And she cooks so well that my coachee complimented her, and she got some extra meals ready. Well, you could say, of course, you need to have the means to do this. But for her, it was really a great way to pay more attention to her work, because she was being at home, being there for her kids, but not really being there, because she always felt really guilty that she needed to pay attention to work more. So this really helped her to create more balance in her life. But there are many people who can join you on a team. So for instance, a personal assistant might be something that used to be only for the CEOs of top companies, but even right now there are quite accessible people. There are also a lot of other things you can think about. For instance, you might love a garden, but you don't love gardening so much. Then maybe a gardener could help you, or there's somebody in the neighborhood who really likes to garden and could help you out in this regard. And what I find is that you can find people in your team for really in all kinds of places. So, for instance, if you want to book a certain holiday, there are people from several agencies who can help you. If you want to look good, there are people who shop with you, and even some shops that really help you to pick out clothes. And this can actually save you time if you get some good advice, and save you money also, because when you get some good advice, the people can really help you to save money, to not buy all this stuff that you don't really need and that doesn't really fit you. What I also find very great about this digital age is that you can have a digital team. So you don't even need to do so much for it, or even pay for it. I don't know if you recognize this situation. It's quite familiar for me. I think a lot about the birthdays of people, and I want to send people cards, but I usually forget to post them. And so I think the day before, I think about it the day after. But with an instrument like Greets, for instance, you can set up a physical birthday card or some other sort of card, and just write down your message, and they'll post it for you. And the same thing goes for things like brievenbus cadeau. Those are small presents that can go through your mailbox, and you can give someone a present, let them know what that you're thinking about them. Another trick I heard that's about saving time, but also making things easier, but still being attentive to other persons, is to have a box of presents ready. So some things you might want to give out a lot. I like to give tea to a lot of people because I know they love tea. So I always have some really nice teas at home that I could give to somebody I really want to give a present. And I know of a coach client who really thinks WhatsApp is part of her team, because it allows her to stay in touch with her kids, but also with the housekeeper, and arrange a lot of stuff with all these digital teams. So you don't need a physical team for anything anymore. I talked a lot about giving out presents. What I notice is that a lot of people are moving up in their career. So they become more busy, but they still want to be the same attentive and thoughtful people that they always were. And this doesn't always go together so easily. So what I find that is really helpful is to figure out ways where you can still be attentive and still give a lot to other people, but where it's not necessarily so that it all requires your utmost personal attention. So there are small things you can do to make sure that a person knows that you're thinking of them, while it doesn't cost you so much extra time. And I think this is one to take away, to think about what is really important to you and what you want to pay attention to, and to try to simplify it, to make it more easy, more accessible. And this is also based on a great book I read. It's from a professor from America, Adam Grant, and he did some research about givers, people who give a lot. And he says it's really, really funny that there are some people who give, who really end up at the top of the chain. So they are CEOs, they function really effectively, they make sure they get a lot of things done. But you've also got people who end up at the bottom of it all, having a burnout, being really tired, and being treated like a doormat. And he says the difference between the people who give, who are really successful, and the people who are not so successful, is that the givers who are successful know how to give with a minimum amount of time. So they give really valuable things to other people, but they don't spend so much time on it. And this can help you to really be the engaged, open and attentive person you want to be, without being overwhelmed and having too much to do all the time. So this is something I advise you to think about a little bit more. Well, we're going on to the fifth secret. And the fifth secret is about staying true to your own personal wisdom. I noticed that talking about work-life balance, there are a lot of people who have ideas about what your work-life balance should be like. And it might be actual people, so your mother-in-law, or a friend who says something, oh, you can't combine this all, you're too ambitious. So there can be actual criticism, but it can also be in your own head, where you feel like you can't arrive to the meeting without a self-baked cake, because everybody is baking the cakes for them fresh out of the oven instead of buying them. And I noticed that sometimes people get the feeling of guilt, of feeling of saying I didn't do things right, without that actually being their own true wisdom. Because if they calm the noise in their head a little bit, they notice that those are just outside images that are in our collective mindset about how a mom should be, how a career woman should be, how a perfect person should be, how you should be as a woman. All these ideas that are in our collective consciousness. And we think that that is true for us. But if you take some time, you do some mindfulness exercises, can be really helpful for this. And you take some time to really listen, then you know that that may not be the case for you. And that, of course, you are not perfect. And of course, things could be different. But overall, if you're looking at it and listening to your own wisdom, it might be so for you also that you're not that uncertain about what you're the choices that you're making. And I'm going to get in mind again the inner saboteur, which is the voice that is really talking you down. It's for me defined by the harsh pointing of the finger, and Waldorf and Stadler from the Muppets, who are always complaining about things. And I think if we're talking about work-life balance, there are a lot of inner saboteurs that can really make it difficult for us. So for instance, perfectionism, guilt, the need to please. And it's very helpful to know that these are part of your inner saboteur, and that you can listen to another voice that is really helpful. And this is your inner fan, the coach who is encouraging you, who gives you tips on how to improve, and the crowd who is rooting for you and hoping for your success. So this secret is about staying true to your own wisdom and really listening to what is right for me, what is right for me in my life with the people that I really love. So here you find that we are in the end of the presentation, and we've discussed 5 secrets and done a few exercises. The first one is know what is really important. The second is about creating mindful moments. The third one about knowing what type you are and tweaking your environment. The fourth one about building a team, and the fifth one about staying true to your wisdom. And as promised, I have time right now for you to post your questions in the chat. Because of the technical problems, we took a little bit longer than expected. So if you need to leave, that's all right. Also, you can send your questions to me by email. But if you are there yet and you have time and you do have some questions, please feel free to post them over here. Expected. So if you need to leave, that's all right. Also, you can send your questions to me by email. But if you are there yet and you have time and you do have some questions, please feel free to post them over here. And I'm also quite interested to hear what you are taking home. So perhaps if you don't have a question, I think it's interesting for me to know, but it's also interesting for you to write down a little something about what insight you take home. If you need to leave, that's all right. Also, you can send your questions to me by email. And I'm sorry, that was a little interruption, a technical difficulty. Okay, so if you have questions later, Paula, please feel free to ask them at a later point in time. At a later point in time. Okay, so I see a question coming in from Ishani. Health seems to be a personal indulgence at times. It is hard to make that a priority while that may be the most important ingredient. Oh, I totally agree with you because there's a really weird thing going on where people are feeling like we need to work harder, and do a lot more all the time. And we have no time to pay attention to health. And I totally agree with you that it's crucial. There's this great audiobook that you can listen in your car and doesn't take too much extra time. And that is called Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. And the crucial point is that they say that people who do take breaks, who do take care of their physical body by eating well and exercising, and that means that they're way more effective in the workplace. And he actually did research like this. I think it's from Tony Schwartz and a colleague of his. And he did this research, and it shows that people who do take the breaks in those organizations are way more effective. So I hope that answers your question, Ishani. I totally agree with you. I think it's an important point. Oh, and there's a great tip also coming in for the Build a Team, the Albert Bezorgservice. Or the pickup point, yeah, to not really spend so much time, especially at the busy time after work, when you go by car or by bike to your supermarket, and you can really avoid those stressful moments by getting your groceries delivered. I think it's a great one. And I also see a lot of, HelloFresh. I know this too, where you can order meals you can prepare for yourself, and it's all biological food, I think, if you're and you get it delivered to your home. And it's really nice because you're always making something, sharing a nice meal with each other. And you can order by week, I think, and you get really nice recipes. So that's a great tip. And I think this gives us all another tip, that it's really, really helpful to share tips with each other, because I see a lot of insights going around, but also a lot of tips. And I see Paula has taken a mindfulness course and can really recommend it, especially to incorporate in daily life. Of course, it takes practice like running, but it helps a lot in acute stress situations. I totally agree with you, Paula. I think it is something that is really, really helpful. And of course, it takes some time to practice. And you can't do it all at once. And especially in the really difficult situations, it can help you immediately. But for some people, it's quite difficult to put into practice immediately. But it does have a lot of effects. They say after an 8-week course, actually your brain has changed, and they can see that in those brilliant brain scanners. So thank you all very much for the insights you have shared, for all your questions. I don't see any new questions coming in, so I think I'm going to close off the session. Thank you very much for attending this session, and I'm looking forward to see you again after the summer. And if you have any questions left, or you're wondering about something, please feel free to get in touch with me. Goodbye.